sent you anything.
Yeah.
What is she doing for 8 hours? Have you asked to come in with her? He says, oh, no. She's embarrassed. She doesn't want me to see her like that. Completely ignores any other reasonable thought.
Yeah.
And won't admit that it's probably bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Kathy is just so grateful that Shelley is, giving her this place to stay, and she latches on in this weird way to Shelley. She'll do anything. It's just like Dave. She'll do anything that Shelley tells her to do. So Kathy ends up pretty much a maid of all trades. She watches the kids. She cleans the house. She cooks the food. She takes care of the supposedly cancer-ridden Shelley, who likes to sit and watch TV all fucking night and sleep all day. And slowly but surely, she is being mentally and physically abused. And unfortunately, nobody speaks up. The kids see it happening, and they are so relieved that the heat is off of them.
Yeah.
They don't say anything.
Yeah, that sucks because I know that they're just relieved that it's not them. I knew this would happen.
Yeah.
But did they say how old the hairstylist dresser was?
Oh, she was a grown adult. She was in her 30s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
She should know better.
She should have known better, too. Yeah.
Been like, fuck this, I'm out.
Exactly.
Or I would have punched her.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing, not everybody has that, fortitude of their basic spirit of their soul, to not put up with abuse, to recognize that is unwarranted and that
it's just crazy.
You don't deserve that.
It's just crazy.
It is crazy. It's crazy. And that's why I say there was definitely mental issues. She found people who were easy prey. She was good at reeling them in and making, spinning everything. She was just a mastermind when it came to that. Truly psychopathic.
Wow.
So yeah, the kids, they feel sorry for Kathy. They want her to stick up for herself, but they also know that at the same point, Shelley's going to fuck with all of them if anybody crosses her. So what do? You're your child. What do you do?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard to read the book because the spiral that Kathy goes down because of the abuse it's horrible. She's been isolated from her family. Shelley made sure that, ties were severed. Yeah. Ties were definitely severed. And she's made her a plaything to abuse. And the kids and Dave are made to feel like they had to go along with it. Dave is struggling at that point to feed 3 adults and 4 kids in the house. He's the only one working.
Yeah.
So he's never home. And when he does come home, all he wants is peace. So he's very easily led astray into whatever Shelley tells him to do. And there is nobody stopping her. No one. So at this point, this is where it becomes graphic and hard to hear. So I apologize, but I'm not going to shy away from what I'm about to say for a good reason, and I will discuss it at the end. So these are the things that Shelley is accused of doing, and how and because of how she does her plea deal, and it makes her plea, the charges go down.
Yeah.
It's only accusations. So keep that in mind. To this day, Shelley has never responded in an affirmative or a negative of what she's done, other than to say a few things that I'll get into at the end. So these are accusations that the children give in a report to the police later on. Okay. So at first, it's little things. Shelley accuses Kathy of sleepwalking nude around the house or getting into the fridge and eating all of the food. She's forcing Kathy to take unknown pills that the kids later find out some of them are Prozac. Who knows what else she gave her. Kathy's things start getting taken away from her. So she came with furniture. She came with books. She came with, her clothing. She came with some items that were her personal items.
Yeah.
They start getting taken away as punishment. Next thing you know,
grown ass woman.
Yeah. Next thing you know, her clothes are being taken away. Eventually, Kathy is being made to work around the house naked. And as with the kids, she can't use the bathroom or the shower on her own.
What?
Towards the end of her life, a bath would consist of being duct taped and bound while outside. The hose was sprayed on her and bleach poured on her body.
What the fuck?
The abuse gets so bad that eventually Kathy loses 100 pounds over the course of a couple of years. She starts to lose her teeth. She loses her hair. Her personality changes completely. She becomes so weak that she can barely move. She crawls from room to room. Her personality is just, it's gone. She is not herself. Shelley makes the kids and Dave actively participate in kicking and hitting her. Dave had steel-toed work boots that she would make Dave and Shane kick her with in the head, in the body. She's given spoiled food to eat and punished in horrible ways, like being made to slide down a hillside covered with snow while naked over and over again until it was running red with blood from her backside. The kids saw this happen in the middle of the night. They actually waterboarded her one time, and I mean stuck her to a board and dunked her head in water.
Yeah.
That went on for about 10 minutes. Dave and Shelley made Dave fashion a waterboard out of shit in the backyard. And then they told Nikki and Shane to go keep watch to make sure that none of the neighbors heard her screaming.
What the fuck?
Shelley claims to everybody that they need to help Kathy get better. Better from what? I have no fucking clue.
Yeah, it's her professional medical opinion.
Right.
Her self-diagnosed cancer.
Again, a grown-ass man doesn't see anything wrong with this. Just kills me.
Yeah.
He fucking went along with it. So at one point in 1991, Kathy's family tries to get in contact with her, but Shelley feeds them some bullshit story about Kathy running off with this fictitious truck driving boyfriend, and they don't have any way to get a hold of her. They have no way to try to see what's going on. Every time they would, try to get in contact, call, Shelley would say she wasn't there. They would come over to the house. Kathy was being hidden away. Jesus. They couldn't find her.
Or she probably couldn't crawl to the door.
Well, exactly. She was very easily forced to do things. She's being drugged. It's malnourished. She's being abused. She probably didn't know what day it was for most of her time at that house. Of course, her health declined and she started to fade away. Dave claims at one point, he was like, Shelley, we got to get medical care for Kathy. This just doesn't feel right. It's not sitting right with me. Shelley was like, I'm helping her get better, but we can't tell anybody because they're going to think we've abused her and that's going to break up our family. Yeah. I call BS on him trying to do that. That's him later on coming back and thinking, oh yeah, I guess I should have said that. No, I call BS on that. You didn't fucking care. You were a contributor to what happened to her, her torture. You didn't fucking care at all.
Nope.
So unfortunately, it wasn't that long before her body had been abused that it just gave out. That's sad. On a warm summer day in 1994, Kathy passed away as a result of all the trauma that her body had sustained. She literally choked on her own vomit as Dave tried to perform CPR and clear her airway. They didn't call 911, and they didn't notify anybody that she died.
So she died alone?
Yeah.
With these fucking horrible people?
Yeah. They sent the kids out of town to a hotel for a couple of days while they got a plan together.
By themselves?
Yep.
And they didn't run away?
No, that's the thing. They had the opportunity. They stayed there. Dave built his own type of crematorium in the backyard with like tin roofing sheets and built a fire for days that he kept burning. Burned Kathy's body, burned all of her belongings, and then filled buckets with her remains and took them to the beach to dump.
Just tried to burn her out of existence, basically.
Basically. They later took a backhoe to the piece of land in the backyard where he had burned her and planted a garden. So they realized, of course, they needed a cover story. So Shelley brought up her lie to Kathy's family about the boyfriend and started to get everybody to repeat the lie until she was satisfied that they could repeat it convincingly. So she would randomly come up to the kids. Where's Kathy at? She's with her boyfriend, Rocky. And what does he do? He's a truck driver. And where did they go? We think they went to California. And she would make them repeat it over and over and over again until she was satisfied that if somebody asked them, they would answer convincingly. And unfortunately, you start to repeat something long enough, you start to believe it.
Oh, yeah.
So she made threats to the kids, of course, if they didn't do well enough. She said at one point she would pin it on Shane, that Shane had abused her and killed her. Wow. And she was perfectly fine to set him up for it.
Jesus.
She figured he was kind of the most likely out of the group to be the loose cannon and tell. And at one point, somehow he got pictures. he took pictures of Kathy, of her body.
Yeah.
And there's also, when they would go back and investigate the house, there was on one of those Kodak, I don't know, disposable cameras. Yeah. There was a picture of Kathy before she passed away, kind of crawling up the stairs.
Oh, wow.
That was mixed in a bunch of other photos.
Yeah.
So Shelley finds out that he took Polaroids of Kathy's body. And in 1995, Shane was gone.
Gone?
Shelley and Dave told the girls and everyone else that he had run away to Alaska to work on a fishing boat in Kodiak. Shelley even forged letters to him, or to herself from him, and sent gifts along with them. No one thought, I mean, it's obviously BS. Nobody bought it.
Yeah.
But nobody really wanted to think about what had happened to him. Nikki herself was just, beside herself. My mom wouldn't do anything to him. She wouldn't have done anything to him.
Yeah.
Maybe he really had had enough and he ran away and he's going to come back and get me. Because that's what they had decided. That's their pact. If he got away, he would figure out a way to come back and get Nikki. He never came back. We know, sadly, that he was murdered by Dave Notek at Shelley's request, and his body was disposed of in the same manner as Kathy's had been.
So he just burned him out of existence, too.
Yep. So with Kathy and Shane gone now, the abuse picked back up for Nikki. Finally, for whatever reason, she had had enough, and she started to fight back.
Good.
Eventually, she left the house right after high school and went to live with Dave's sister, whom she barely knew. I mean, they were kept so isolated from all of their family.
Yeah.
But she was happy. She was out. Yeah. And I can only imagine the guilt that she felt.
Yeah, for leaving
her sisters.
Sister there.
And, the guilt of being happy to be free.
Yeah.
But she was able to put her life together, and she was working. She was leading a good life, and she was away from Shelley. Eventually, Nikki and Sammy meet up at their grandma's. So Shelley's stepmom, and they're able to gain some perspective on their lives. With Nikki gone, the abuse then focused on Sammy.
Yeah.
But Sammy knew that she could kind of turn the situation into her advantage. And after she graduated high school, a deal was struck that Sammy she would return back home.
Yeah. If
Shelley got her college paperwork filled out, because they had missed the deadline for it to be filled out so they could get financial aid or whatever.
Yeah.
Sammy said, if you work that out for me, I will come back and I won't tell anybody about Kathy. So she threatened her, and it worked. Shelley did get that done, and Sammy ends up going to college. Meanwhile, she picked up the cancer card again and shaving her eyebrows.
Oh, Jesus.
This is years later. She's like, I still have cancer.
10 years later.
Right. And this time, though, Dave is the only one who sees it for what it is, a complete sham. He still just can't. I don't know. He's probably recessed to this part in your brain where you just, you don't care what the truth is. Yeah, you can't handle it.
Full control, too.
Yeah. Shelley would also go on to claim that she had been diagnosed with lupus and later an ovarian cyst that required major surgery, none of which was true.
I was going to say, where are the bills?
Right. Dave he didn't see a lot of things, and he didn't want to. So Shelley is busy spending money that they don't have left and right. She's taking out payday loans. She's, buying new cars. She's like writing checks that can't be cashed and ends up in trouble with the law. And she works her way out of it. She talks her way out of it every time. Meanwhile, he's working pretty much day and night to provide her with a paycheck, and it's just never enough. She constantly tells him that he doesn't love her enough and how worthless he is. And he's completely broken. So he worked in Gig Harbor, and he would just not come home because he didn't want to deal with her.
Good for him.
Well, yeah. I mean, yes, I'm sure he was happier during that time, but he also was living with the guilt of what they did to Kathy and Shane. He didn't have any money because he sent it all to her, and he didn't see his daughter. So their youngest daughter, Tori, he didn't see her for a year because he stayed away. Tori,
he's a fucking willing participant. So
exactly,
I give two shits.
Yeah, no, I definitely don't feel bad for him. Tori wanted her dad to come home, but she also knew that when he was there, Shelley would do nothing but berate him, and the two would fight, and it was miserable. Meanwhile, Shelley kind of realizes that she's losing control. Nikki wouldn't contact her, wouldn't have anything to do with her. So she was constantly worried, did Nikki tell somebody something? And, she knew that it would be bad if Nikki said anything because she was the oldest. She knew the most.
Yep.
If Sammy was out from under her thumb as well, there was no telling what could happen. And that left Tori, who was only 6 years old when Nikki left.